Folks, welcome back to the DNR podcast. Yes, one more episode for our series on the Challenge Season 41, Vets and New Threats. It's the second half of the finale, and I gotta say, Riley, this was more interesting than the first.
Yeah, more interesting than the first. As infuriating, and I'll go with that. Brilliant episode, amazing conclusion to the season, in spite of the producers. Not because of the producers, in spite of the producers. It felt like the show and the producers of the show did everything in their power to make this suck, and the contestants made it not suck. And they deserve a lot of credit for that. It was really exciting to the bitter end. And yeah, it was really cool. So I'm very interested in going over it because there's a lot of nuance. Yeah. There's a lot that happened. And almost none of it mattered, which is going to make me want to crash out over the course of this episode. If you guys watched the last episode, I kind of alluded to I would be mad if it happened the way it happened.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
anyways.
And you know, thank you for doing last episode by the train station. We appreciated the ambient noise of life and construction.
Was there a lot of ambient noise on my end?
Oh my god, dude, it was brutal. Okay, there were
wow.
multiple people that were like, where the fuck is Riley right now?
Okay, that's so funny because I was just in my mother's dining room. And she was like, dude, right as we start filming, she's like, you know what I need to start right now? I need to start the dryer. I must start the drying machine and just drown out
dishes.
Yeah.
I need a power drill because I'm going to finish the cabinets
today. Shout out
today.
to my mom. God love her, but it was not ideal filming conditions. We're better now.
We're better now. Let's take it into the beginning of this second half of the final, which starts where we left off. This is the overnight segment, and before we can even get to the teams standing on logs, we have to get to the staking a claim portion, which, Riley, I'm sure you feel the same way as I do. This is where my complaints begin. Right at the start of this. Like, nobody stakes a claim. Right, you can take anybody that you want out of the 8 competitors that have made it to the final. And like we discussed at the end of last episode, there were some really shitty performances from people that, come on, you should have been eager to get the hell away from
I will
those
say, though, Ben,
anchors.
Incredibly, and again, not to jump to the end already, but incredibly, the very people that I was like, oh, these people should definitely stake, ended up not needing to stake. You know, I would have thought Jeremy, pick Sydney, and you've won. Guaranteed. Yeah. Guaranteed you've won. He can probably beat Turbo. You know, she's such a powerful competitor. With Cedric and Michaela, it was more... For Cedric, it's like, you know you've lost. You're not firing your last shot, you know? And you're guaranteed to have lost. Adrienne, I understood she was destroyed, bro. Like, you could clearly see, like, her fatigue level had accumulated throughout the course of that day, and she just wasn't recovering anymore. But for Cedric was the big one for me. I mean, Jeremy, yes, it was like he has this opportunity to go grab a absolute powerhouse.
Yeah.
But with Cedric, for me, it was like, dude, how could you possibly look at your partner, understand the task that is likely at hand tomorrow, and not realize, like, this is not a question for you. You have to stake right now. You must stake right now. And he just didn't.
And it's crazy because he says verbatim, quote, you're a dummy if you want to stake a claim right now. Yeah. And that's the guy that's anchored to someone who quite literally only has one ankle. Yeah. Like, you're the dummy for accepting this. And I'll say this, right? Devil's advocate, if I'm going to steel man Cedric's perspective, you don't really know what the stake looks like. You don't really know what the punishment could be. Like, let's say you try to stake a claim, it's unsuccessful, and then you're just eliminated from the final altogether, right? Those are some variables that could happen. But, like, I would be stunned if it's anything more than just a time penalty, which is the time and time again the consequence that we've seen. So it's like, you know, Cedric, you weigh the pros and the cons, and I think you still should have gone, all right, let me try for Sydney. Let me try for Jeremy, right? You could have staked on anybody.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. He could just challenge Olivia, right, and he's probably gonna win.
And for I hate to spend so much time on this because we've got a huge episode to dig into and so much to discuss, but like, this was such a pivotal moment that got really glossed over and brushed by. And when we think about a game like the challenge, it's so much about strategy, both to benefit but also to hurt others. For Theo, you could have staked a claim on Sydney and then dragged her ass down, right? Which would have bettered Olivia's chances. And that's clearly been Theo's entire game plan, is just, what can I do to position Olivia for as much success as possible? Not really him, So Theo should have been like, hey, I'm going to be like an atomic bomb and just throw myself at some competitor because I know my performance and I know that I'm going to tie them down quite literally with this rope. So I don't know. It kind of disappointed me that this whole staking a claim was such an underutilized feature. It felt like there was some really compelling just utility, and we saw, 3 instances? Gabe destroying himself for no reason, and then it was Jeremy who was successful, and that was it, right? I guess it was only 2 instances, so I don't know, kind of bums me out. But yeah, that's the stake to claim. Any other thoughts on that stupidity?
No, it was, again, I guess the perfect way to say it. I thought it was really ironic, Cedric being like, this is so dumb.
Who would do this? Yeah.
Like, yo, you need to do this right now.
Yeah.
I digress. Starting the next day, Cedric...
Do you want to go past the sleep thing?
Oh, no, yeah, you're right.
Big of a deal.
I think it is a big deal. Benjamin, I think it's a big deal. No, so for me... First things first. The entirety of day 1 comes down to a combined sleep advantage of 30 minutes. Shut up. You are kidding me, dude. That infuriated me, Ben. These guys, specifically Sydney and Turbo, blow everyone out of the water. Even though in that last episode, we saw them getting hung up in the, gotta wait for the next team crap, right? So they have to stand there for like 20 minutes waiting for the next team. They put so much effort into this. They get essentially fucking nothing for their trouble.
Yeah.
Ridiculous, dude. That was ridiculous.
TJ should have said, okay, Sydney, Turbo, because you guys came first, you can head right to the tent. You both can get a full night's sleep. Congrats on coming
first. A real advantage. Right?
It's so
something,
easy.
Right?
Right.
Otherwise,
right there.
Dude, the first day was just build fatigue. That was the whole point of it. So when I'm watching this, I'm saying, now in retrospect, we all know that you should have just completely coasted day 1. Just not even tried, put no effort into anything, show up, kind of lackadaisically do this crap. They're waiting. They have to wait for you at some of these objectives. Just show up whenever the hell you want. Who cares? Dude, that pissed me off so much.
And I'll say this.
I hate to be that guy, but that drove me insane.
No, I think it's a really fair criticism, because from an audience perspective, I think it just deflates the stakes to an incredible degree. And if you're a viewer out there that hated the fact that teams would have to wait at certain checkpoints for other teams, you're going to hate some of this second part because we do it again. But before we even get there, I'll just expand upon the sleeping and then kind of the morning. They basically got like half an hour each. Sydney Turbo, they only had to do 6 hours on the log. Cedric Michaela, 7 hours. Jeremy Olivia, 8 hours. Theo Adrian, all night long. But yeah, in reality, it's just kind of like, okay, I don't, this isn't something that you can really articulate through the medium of television as like an effective punishment or rather an effective win for the teams. So it's just dumb. But TJ also says, don't lose your rope, right? This whole first half, they've been carrying a rope between each other. TJ emphasizes, don't lose the rope. What happens? Somebody loses their rope, Cedric and Michaela. And like, dude, it shocked me. I'm sorry, this is such a small detail and really didn't have much of an impact because it was like a 5-minute, 10-minute penalty. But it shocked me that 2 players as intelligent as Michaela and Cedric served, I believe, in quite literally intelligence for the Marines. Michaela has shown for 2 months that she is one of the higher IQ players. When someone says, don't forget the fucking rope, and you guys say, oh, we just threw it on the ground.
Yeah, we just left it by the fire.
What are you doing? Dude. Put it in the tent, bro. Put it in the fucking tent.
It's the finale. I'm tossing that shit in the fire. If I'm walking past, fucking boop. They're like, there's a 0% chance I'm not doing that. There's a 100% chance. I might take it out of your fucking hand and put it in the fire, let alone if it's just lying there.
And they frame it like Theo did it, and I can totally see a world in which he basically was like this. He's standing out there, because again, Theo and Adrienne, they have to do it all night long, so I can totally see a world where he's standing on the log, he sees the rope right there, and he just goes...
Yeah.
And they're gone.
Literally guaranteed.
And again, I think that's what... I did like that they framed it as Theo, and I wish that he just owned up to it in the confessional, because, like, that's been Theo this whole season, I think, in some way,
we
shape,
never
or form.
got to know,
Yeah, which is dumb. Like, it does make me pause a little bit to say with such certainty that, oh, Theo pulled a fast one, because usually he's been kind of, like, accountable for his decisions and actions, right? So for him to even be like, oh, well, you got to keep your rope in your vision, it's like... Just say you took it, buddy.
Yeah, I actually wonder, because I bet the producers didn't even see it. Because otherwise I feel like they would have showed us that. I will say something I want to touch on. Wow, we're already 11 minutes in. There was so much volume in this episode. I love this episode.
It's a big one. Come on, this is going to be a big one.
Yeah. You know what? Let's just run the clock. Anyways. The strategy around Turbo stands on that. First things first, I thought the log was going to be sideways, and I was like, dude, this is going to be unbelievably difficult. It wasn't. It was just stand in place. So I thought that was kind of funny, because I thought it was going to be like, I was like, oh my God, they're going to have to stand on this log for 6 hours. No, it's just spinning. It's just a stump, right? And anyways, what do you think about Turbo's decision to stand on this log the entire 6 hours? Sydney's correct, first things first. He's obviously overcompensating for his failures that day. But... yeah. That is objectively a bad strategy. Sydney doesn't really vocalize it to the extent, and potentially, again, maybe it just wasn't shown, but we see kind of one instance of Sydney, yelling out to Turbo, hey, like, you should get some rest. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, he just stands on this stump for 6 hours. Something else they don't tell us is how long the night is. Is this 10 hours? Right. Is this 12 hours? How long of a period of time is this? I imagine it was 10 hours, which means that Turbo still slept for 4 hours, which is not insignificant. But, I mean, standing on that stump for 6 straight hours after a very difficult day just to make a point to yourself, not to benefit the team, not because Sydney needs the rest, just to make a point to yourself and win essentially nothing, right? It doesn't do anything. It's just, you're just patting yourself on the back. Very strange strategy. What do you think, Ben?
I think it was weird as well. I think he should have maybe started with the mentality of, I'm going to hang on as much as I can to try and make it up to Sydney a little bit, my performance in the first half. But whenever the first person did a rotation, I think that's when Turbo should have probably gone, okay, let's rotate as well. Because I feel like you would want, not to have an equal playing field necessarily, but it's like, okay, if I'm standing up here and every team is rotating and they're all going to be fresher, then they're getting advantages, right, of sleep, and I'm, again, becoming an anchor for my partner by virtue of expensing myself in a certain way. Again, maybe it's not that significant, right, standing on a log and then still getting 4 hours of sleep, but I think in the same mentality of, to your point, what's the gain here, dude? You're not really accomplishing a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, this was very familiar to me. I mean, anyone that's a veteran understands. Yeah. We call it fire watch, where you're going to be woken up at some point in the night and you're going to have to, patrol the fire base or whatever, right? So I know that there's a lot of strategy involved in that, in the sense of the last thing I want to do is for my wake up shift to be every hour and a half, because I'm not falling asleep properly, right? Sydney and Turbo have this unique opportunity here where, because their window's only 6 hours, Turbo can pretty comfortably stand there for 3 hours. Or Sydney, let's say Sydney takes the first shift. She stands there for 3 hours, wakes Turbo up, and now she gets a solid 8 hours sleep. Turbo sleep's broken up he gets 3 hours rest, and then he gets another 4 hours at the end. So his sleep is broken up, but still she gets a solid sleep. So why would you not approach that? That, to me, was where the real advantage was, because 8 hours, you're not really doing 4 hours and 4 hours. You're probably going to have to do multiple shifts, which means you have to wake up multiple times. You can't really get into that deep REM sleep. But they have this unique ability where they could have got, real REM sleep, and instead they just toss it to the wind for literally just his ego.
And I'll present this as well. This also wasn't an environment in which the campsite was deeply peaceful and there's no noise. We can't forget Adrienne just not shutting up the entire time, which I thought was so funny, dude. Like, after 2 months of a grueling experience, it all comes down to this, and she has this, right, she has to stand on this log, and her default reaction after this unreal test of so many merits is just, I'm not going to shut the fuck up. I'm going to talk about all these random things because that's my compulsion. And I think that is so, like, if this episode showed anything, it's that Adrienne has this purity to her and this, like, such sense of self that isn't going to be impacted by, the climate or the things that are thrown at her. And I think that there is something that's just so awesome about how even in this environment where there's 200,000 on the line for both her and her teammate, and you guys had a really shitty first half, and now you're on a log in the middle of the night, she's just like, yeah, like, I don't know. There's something funny about that. I'm not articulating it that well, but I was watching that and I was like, that's pretty sweet.
Innocent about it, and I think that's endearing. It's very endearing.
Yeah. Okay.
But other than that, not too much. Yeah. Other than that, not too much happens over the course of the night. It's clearly just designed to, again, induce more fatigue into these competitors.
Which I wish that there was another layer on top of this. I just wish it was more dynamic. Maybe in addition to standing on the log, there's an eating challenge as well. We didn't get a single eating challenge in this final, which was frustrating. And I think that could have added something to just, again, viewer experience conscientious, make that portion of this episode a bit more engaging, right? Instead of them just literally standing on logs and doing that, maybe it's okay. Standing on logs and every hour you have to eat this nasty thing, or I don't know. Like, it just could have been something. But either way, we get to the morning. Nothing's really impacted. Everyone seems pretty fine. But Michaela does say in a confessional, quote, "It's not broken. It's just in pain about her ankle." And we get a shot of her wrapping up with 800 ace bandages and probably another, bit of glue in there as well to hold it tightly together. So it does kind of give me the sense that, okay, so it's not broken, maybe it's just badly bruised. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but we do get some knowledge from Michaela today of filming where she says that she had 2 torn ligaments, a grade 3 tear, and ligaments that just aren't connected to her bone anymore. So that's what she was dealing with during this final. And we speculated on it, right, the extent of the injury, but I don't know about grade 1 to grade 3 ligament damage.
Grade 3 means it's literally completely separated. I just looked this up. The ligament is torn completely in half. I'm gonna just say this, Ben. I don't believe.
You don't believe her?
No, that's
wow.
Insane. I mean, you would not. You would genuinely, as someone who's dealt with ligament issues. I mean, your foot would be flopping around. Like you would be in so much pain. The swelling would be out of control. When I tore my rotator cuff, my whole arm my shoulder was triple the size, and I couldn't move it at all. And it wasn't a grade 3 tear. So I'm incredibly skeptical of that. But it was clearly injured. It was clearly injured.
Yeah.
She's trying to post on the internet that it was catastrophically injured, and that's where I have my doubts. I have my doubts because even as she's climbing, she gets checked by a medical team. They approve her to continue. If you have a grade 3 tear, I imagine that it would have happened on the hill, on the mountain. I imagine it would have at some point. I just cannot imagine this not being the size of a balloon, black and blue, just ridiculous, and the medical team being like, no, like, why would you continue on this? You have apparently a completely decimated ankle, according to her medical report here. So
you're not giving enough weight to the dog that's inside Michaela. I think that you're forgetting she's got that dog in her.
If it's true, and again, of course, it's totally true. I would never accuse anyone of lying ever.
But you're healthily skeptical,
yes,
given your experience and background, and I'll let that perspective be the perspective.
Yeah, but because if she was injured to that degree, honestly, unbelievable dog, like like so unfathomable that I'm like, I can't even believe it, So it's like, but again, that final capitulation of her injury could have been near the end, right? And if that's true, then that also makes more sense where it's like, yeah, she just completely ruptured it right at the end, and the injury got worse and worse and worse. That is a lot more believable and totally possible.
And we did see the final push to that peak was like quite literally vertical. Everyone's bear crawling on loose gravel. So, you saw that's what took Turbo out, not to jump too far ahead, right? But that last push eviscerated a couple people. So I could see it. Before we talk about, the first checkpoint and this continuation, there's one line from Olivia that kind of pissed me off. There's one thing that Olivia said that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. She was in a confessional, and she said, I quote, talk about how this game has been and how difficult it's been. So I get voted in and lied to when I thought I was safe in the game. And it just kind of irritated me because I don't think that anyone was really lying to her and backstabbing her to put her in against Lekka. I think it was because she threw me the fuck in for no reason to help her buddy Derek, to give him a better stylistic matchup, right? Help her number. And then that partially backfired. And it led to her having to go down to the sand, fight for her space in that house. And that's that. Nobody lied. No one, was backstabbing. You made a really strong play at a point when the numbers weren't entirely finalized on your side. And it kind of backfired when you were the hangnail, which was a decision you completely put yourself in. So I don't like the reframing and revising of I was lied to. You knew the people that didn't want you in, and you still made a decision to fuck me over. But either way, okay, let's get into the beginning of this. So it's a race to the mountain. There's a couple checkpoints that remain, and this is it. And because Cedric and Michaela lose their rope, they only get a 5-minute time penalty, which is kind of stupid.
Which also gets neutralized up the mountain
instantly.
Yeah,
quite literally instantly.
Completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant.
So checkpoint 1, basically you have to answer some trivia questions about your partner, unlock a key, and then you progress. If you're wrong on any of them, you need to run down a little mountain, grab the number of the question that you think is wrong, and then try it again. It wasn't entirely clear, but either way, Sydney gets it right instantly. Like, fucking flawless, perfect, right off the rip. You're right, she just picks up right where she leaves off.
Dude, what an absolute machine. I mean, by the end of it, I was rooting for her. You just cannot show that level of dominance throughout the entire season and not have me be like, you know what, man, I gotta respect it. At this point. It's undeniable now. She just clears it. She knew his fucking middle name. Like, how do you,
his star sign, his zodiac, like
what? Just stuff that I would never know.
And look, I want to say this. We have criticized a healthy amount, but I'll say this. We've been very fair in that every time you could give her flowers, go back and fucking check. We have given her flowers. We've sung the praises. We've recognized how much of a beast she is. And what's great about this final for Sydney is, like, every aspect of her that was good became great. Like, she just rose above and beyond, which you simply can't really say about many other people except for maybe Jeremy. But again, the expectation for Jeremy is always so high too. So either way, we'll kind of a big summary.
Can you imagine if she was cool about it? Can you imagine?
God, I would love her, dude.
And she was humble. Everyone would be on her side. But
best competitor ever. But yeah, either way. So Turbo fucks it up. Obviously.
But Turbo does quite well actually. He only gets one wrong, and he knows exactly which one is wrong. And so the crux of this issue was you don't know which one you don't know, but he did. He was like, I'm very confident about the other ones. I believe it was either her star sign or her middle name that he didn't know. It was only one. He went down. He rectified it. So they are at this point flying. Like, they are flying ahead of everyone else. And I was amazed by it. I was like, wow, these guys are cooking. This isn't going to be close. They're going to win. They have to win.
It very much seemed like this was going to be a final where everyone was fighting for second place until quite literally the last 400 feet, which is unreal. But we'll get there when we get there. Jeremy fucks up 2 on Olivia's. Olivia also gets some wrong. Theo doesn't really do that well. Adrienne not doing that fantastic on this one. And quickly starts to feel some physical fatigue, right? The early portions of this episode, you see a bit of reversal for Theo and Adrienne, whereas in the first half, it was Adrienne pulling Theo along. This one, Adrienne's really having problems. She literally says, I can't put pressure on the balls of my feet. And this is after checkpoint 1. Like, this is not even close to the hardest parts of this last push.
Yeah, and we have to remember, too, they've been standing for hours. I mean, hours and hours and hours. They had an 8-hour shift, so very, very long time. And she doesn't seem like the type of person that maybe is so accustomed to standing for really long periods of time. And I don't know if you forget, Ben, but Theo just threw her under the bus every minute he could the day before. Yeah. So, of course, her fatigue level is past what she can manage. I doubt she's ever done any sort of iteration like this. And this was why, to me, Jeremy showed that, and, you know, all credit to Cedric, but infantry is different, you know, and this to me was so clear to me, the ability to dig deep under repeated fatigue. That is something that is almost purely unique to the military. It's something that you really rarely find in other places other than like ultra endurance exercises. But I'm just saying, like, the ability to be beat down for 10 days and then come back is very unique to people that have been in the infantry. Like, that's the job, bro. Like, you do that the whole time. So witnessing him be able to overcome that, whereas a lot of other people you could see that buildup of fatigue. Adrienne, I thought, was a great example. Theo fell apart before even the second day, but she was able to give her all, but she just wasn't able to dig deeper into that second level, into that second layer of depth. And, you know, it was, again, Michaela just apparently just completely fell apart. But even Cedric was not pushing the boundary of their team. He wasn't. No. You know, he didn't seem competitive.
He didn't have that dog. And every time they cut back to Jeremy, he would be charging ahead, giving positivity, encouragement, telling Olivia, we're right there. And, you know, again, not to fast forward like we always do, but you just see their rate is so much quicker than everyone else. But and Ben, for Cedric and McKay...
Sorry to cut you off, but the thing with Jeremy is it never even entered his mind that it was over.
Yeah.
And that was really inspiring to me. At no point, when they're way behind, there was never a point where there was even this opportunity of, okay, well, I'm not going to win. That never happened. It was, I might as well give everything to this mountain right now because I've made it this far. That was really inspiring. That was really, really cool to see.
Well, let's take it back to sort of the process here. So we get to the next checkpoint, which is Connect 4. And this is, again, where the frustrations arise for me.
Dude.
You have to wait for the next team. So it's the same rules as the stair climber. And for Cine and Turbo, who are, like, just far ahead, now you got to pause to play fucking Connect 4?
Connect 4, too, Ben. I'm sorry. Connect 4? Connect 4? Are we kidding? That's the challenge? Connect 4 against the other team? Is this a fucking joke? You're going to pull up halfway up this mountain. $500,000. We're halfway up a mountain. I've won every single iteration for the last 36 of this 48 hours. Mm-hmm. I am absolutely crushing. I've done everything so well and received an extra hour of sleep for my troubles. And now I have to stand here like an asshole waiting to be able to win in Connect 4. Dude, and whoever agreed to this genuinely needs to be fired. That is one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever seen in my entire life. Sorry to go off, but I was actually losing my mind.
I'm always try and see both sides of it, but it's also not really like a rest because you're at such high elevation. Yep. You're in a climate that's like brutal. Every breath you take is just pins and needles on your lungs. Like, it's not like that's a rest. So it's like you're being punished for coming in first, not only because you have to stop your rate of progression to the final end of this, but also sit, and then the lactic acid builds up, and then your momentum, your adrenaline calms down. Like, it feels like we're punishing the team for coming in first consistently, which is so backwards. But before we even get to the first Connect 4 battle between Sydney and Turbo and Jeremy and Olivia, we cut back to Cedric and Michaela, who are getting going. They're last place. They serve the 5-minute penalty. And what Michaela says, which she said a lot in the first half, and she continues to say a lot in this second half, and it's really one of the only things that I kind of disliked about Michaela to a big degree in this final, is she said, we'll make it up at the next checkpoint. We'll make up time later. She keeps kicking it down the road. She keeps kicking the can down the road. And it's like, that's a bad final strategy because at some point you're going to run out of time. And that's kind of what happened in an extent. Like if they had, like we talked about, if Cedric had kicked things into gear, if they had just pushed the pace a little bit more, they were so close, right? Like they were right there, just like Jeremy and Olivia was, but they just, I don't know. It seemed like a bad strategy.
That's the thing is, like, when I was watching, specifically to me, when I was watching Cedric and Michaela and Theo and Adrienne, it felt like they knew they'd lost already, you know?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, to take it back to what we said at the start, where Cedric's like, oh, I'm not going to challenge anyone. That was weird to me because it was like, you could just tell there was such a mental difference between the approach of Adrienne and Theo and the approach of Jeremy and Olivia and the approach of Sydney and Turbo. Sydney and Turbo and Jeremy and Olivia were both there to win this, and it just did not feel like that was the case for the other two teams. I mean, Theo and Adrienne, they make it, halfway up the mountain? Like, they didn't even really try, frankly. And you could tell that they were both like, I'm tired. But it was really just they knew they weren't going to win. It wasn't that they couldn't actually physically finish this task. I think that they probably could have. They just knew they weren't going to win.
It's the mental defeat that set in.
They were mentally defeated. And so I think that even for Cedric and Michaela, it was... There's a big difference between I'm going to finish this and I'm going to win this. That's not the same mentality. There's a big difference between the guy that shows up and the guy that's there to win. And that's how it felt.
Cedric said this even early on. I mean, earlier than what we're on the episode, he literally in the confessional was like, "We already had a low chance of winning this." Mm-hmm. That's such a defeatist mentality. Like, we have such slim odds. Like, why would you even position yourself to think that way?
And then when TJ gives him the opportunity to change his odds, he doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, bro. Like,
I don't get it. I think like. I want to say I saw someone saying this online, but like, they'd be afraid if they stake the claim of the reactions or whatever. But it's, again, this is what we talked about last episode. 200,000, bro, versus 25,000. Yeah, it's the finale. For so many people, this was brain dead obvious to give it a crack. Mm-hmm. And it's a nod is just crazy. I think that, like, if Cedric staked with Sydney, I think Sydney and Cedric could have won. I totally could see a world in which Cedric would keep up, wouldn't gas 100%. And fall apart. Like it's him. And so instead of winning $212,000, he winds up walking away with $6,000 because he failed to make a veteran-esque decision to go, all right, this is gonna boost my odds. Didn't want to do that. Paid the big price. We'll get there though. Okay, so the first game of Connect 4. So Sydney and Turbo, they barely beat Jeremy and Olivia. It's kind of neck and neck. I was a little bit surprised by that. And Turbo continually pisses me off in this fucking episode because as they're running away, he says, I told you, I know this game. You almost make us lose. Save it, buddy.
Yeah. First things first. Yeah, exactly. One, he was, like, yelling their strategy the whole time, and then you can clearly see Jeremy and Olivia, like, whispering to each other.
Yeah. It's the same thing as Turkey, bro.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. He's like, Turkey, and then that's it. And it's like, shut up.
Two, this to me was, sorry to keep cutting you off, but, I mean, I was so angry when I was watching this because, like you said, sit there. Yeah, your body temperature cools. Now your sweat is on your body and you're cold out. So you're freezing there. You stand there freezing for 15 minutes while these people come up to you. This is awful for you. Then you play Connect 4. Ben, I'm sorry, Connect 4, this is not chess we're talking about. This is not some game of elite strategy. Does it have some strategy and some nuance to it? Sure. Sure it does. Really, there's so much luck and oops,
it's a kid's game.
That one, it's a kid's game. So I was like, yeah, that was ridiculous. It could have gone either way, and it was just ridiculous.
I'll say this, like, I know that in finals they have incorporated kids' games and more simpler games as portions of checkpoints, right? All well and good, but I can't remember a time where Connect 4 was even utilized in this season, whereas something like Sudoku was a daily challenge, had a great impact, right? And so this is what was really confusing to me is, like, I didn't really feel like the elements of this season all accumulated into the final. It felt like this final was almost by a design perspective totally separate from the rest of the season, which is frustrating as a viewer because it's like I just watched all these guys go through these daily challenges, see these eliminations, participate in them, for it to not build in their minds to, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there would have been better connection and would have made more sense.
And you know, again, it makes good TV. And that's the reality, is that clearly was more important than anything, is how do we make sure that these teams are close at the end? How do we enforce that these teams are close at the end? Now, I was, again, this is why I said right at the start that the episode was great in spite of the producers, because that was, what happened was kind of perfect, right? What happened created this amazing photo finish. And you know, to clarify, there's actually one other thing I want to touch on. So Sydney and Turbo win, thank God, right? Because if they hadn't, that would have been a travesty to have all their work be wiped away by Connect 4, and then they get, you know, eliminated down to, you know, who knows how much. It was like a half-hour difference, it seemed. Jeremy and Olivia get blown out of the water. Ben, I want to mention this. Theo goes up there, right? Knowing that he's not making it to the top, knowing that he's losing, and beats Olivia. Theo, are you the dumbest guy alive? It's clear that your eggs are in the basket of Jeremy and Olivia to win this for your family. It's clear that you really know you're not making it to the top of this thing. Bro, throw it. Let her win.
Let him go
How
second.
stupid could you possibly be to just go in there and be like, sorry, mate, I'm going to beat you now, and then quit in 100 feet. Like, you are, I'm sorry, bro. I was losing my mind. Like, how stupid could you possibly be? Instead, also, he completely screws her.
How dumb on Olivia's side, though. If you've never beaten this guy in Connect 4 at home, why on earth would you be like, yes, let's, you know, like, what?
Well, maybe she was thinking, hey, you know, we'll be on the same page here, right, Theo? I mean, she even says it earlier in the episode. She's like, you know, I'm happy to be his boyfriend, but watching him as a partner gives me, and she doesn't say the ick. She says the heebie-jeebies, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal. She's clearly about to say the ick.
And but it's like, I'm gonna switch it. I love him too much. I'm gonna switch it.
Yeah.
And she said that a couple times. Like, I think there was many episodes ago where she was like, "Yeah, Theo, he's not in shape to run a final this season." Like, she clearly is so cognizant that he's not doing well. But again, like, that should have been a conversation that they had. I don't know if that would have been shown at all, but like, his whole prerogative this final should have been nuking everyone else's chances. That should have, like, I'm sorry, that should have been Theo's game plan. Because he's not going to win.
Of course.
So, yeah, for him to beat her in Connect 4, it's like, buddy, what are we, you know, for what? Yeah, to collapse 100 feet down the trail. It
was like, genuinely, I'm sorry, Ben, genuinely blown away by that. And she's saying, you can see it was filmed afterwards, like, I don't know why I thought I'd beat him. Olivia, let's call it a buck. You thought Buddy would have like an iota of, obviously I should lose this right now. You know? Instead, oh my God,
that
incredible.
might have been why she was like, of course, don't do this. I got this game to Connect 4 and then lose.
Yeah, like, that was why. Like,
and it gets worse because then they lose a third consecutive game of Connect 4 to fucking Cedric. And like, you could tell that Jeremy and Cedric were so over this checkpoint, bro. Yeah. They're just one hand in the pocket, one hand fucking.
Well, they've been freezing their ass off up here for probably 25 minutes at this point.
But yeah, so they lose 3 fucking games in Connect 4. They lost the 2 Stairmasters yesterday. Like, it's pretty, I don't want to use the word pathetic, but it's crazy to me how they, at some of these checkpoints, have just fumbled harder than everybody else.
I'll push back on you a little bit there, Ben. 1, Connect 4 is the dumbest game to ever be putting this much stress on. And 2, it really was Olivia saying, I'm going to save my legs, and that saved her ass. You know, we were very critical of this approach in the last episode. Olivia, I don't know, I assume it's because she's a veteran. She seemed to know this is totally irrelevant. This day is completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter at all. I should just save my legs. And guess what? She was 100% right. She was totally spot on. The day one was completely irrelevant. She absolutely should have saved her legs. That's why they won this.
Yeah. So, all right, fair point. Fair point. And I will say this: after they lose 3 games to Connect 4 and have a 10-minute penalty, the first thing Jeremy says is
Jeremy launches himself off the mountain. I'm just kidding.
Jeremy pulls out a gun. No, he literally says, after this, we're gonna have to get after it. So again, it's just like there's no defeat that ever trickles in. It doesn't ever get through him whatsoever. Which is, like you said, inspirational is the best word. Like, this is a guy who just brick wall through brick wall, he's gonna run right through. Okay, so this is when we get to just kind of the push to the finish line. They're heading to the summit. They're bear crawling through loose gravel and terrain. We get several wide shots, and Sydney and Turbo are like right fucking there. I mean, they are so ridiculously close to the top of this relative to everyone else's positioning. It is absurd to me. Like, thinking about how they lost this is... It's just hard to imagine. Like, I given some of the wide shots I gave, I'm like, how the fuck did Turbo completely destabilize their team?
Yeah, and they must have taken a considerable rest at some point, because they are miles ahead. They've got like a 40-minute head start here, and they're moving quite fast. Jeremy is literally just dragging Olivia up the mountain. Like, just one arm dragging her up the mountain. She is miraculously keeping up. I mean, truly incredible to dig deep. And I think that's just a great example of what good leadership looks like. And we saw earlier in this season, she's partnered with Will, who would have probably been throwing a hissy fit, crashing out for no reason. Jeremy doesn't do any of that. He goes, I am physically tethered to this woman. We are a team. We're going to make this happen. He's motivating her. He's speaking positively to her. He's setting goals. He's doing everything right. She is responding in kind, dude. She is absolutely stepping up to the plate. Incredible work, digging so deep. And meanwhile, City and Turbo, again, it doesn't really show it in the edit, because to me, when I'm watching it, it seemed like it was done. It seemed like it was a battle for second place. I thought that was the footage we were going to get. And then, kind of miraculously, like you said, almost directly at the peak, Jeremy and Olivia are passing these two. Sydney and Turbo are having this conversation where Sydney is essentially begging this guy, like, dude, please, like, you have to keep going. He promises her at some point, he says, I promise you, I guarantee you, they're not going to beat us. So he's clearly taking these big rest breaks, at some point or another. He's taking these rest breaks because he's then verbalizing to her, no, it won't have been too much of a rest. I'll be able to get it back. And he just doesn't. He falls apart. He's also kind of pushing Sydney, so maybe Sydney was having trouble. But to me, this whole time, it seemed like he would only ever help Sydney to make himself feel good. It wasn't because Sydney ever needed the help. It was because he needed to feel like he was helping his team, not being the dead end.
Yeah, he's like moving a desk or a table, but he's only got like his, everyone else is carrying it, and he's like, just pretending
to be clear, he's got a whole palm on her ass. I don't know what that was about, but
Turbo, buddy.
I was like, all right, dog.
Hey, I'm not getting the 200,000. I'm getting something. I will say, I want to talk a little bit briefly before we get to kind of this peak and Jeremy and Olivia's like push past them, because I want to highlight that a little bit more. But for Michaela and Cedric and Theo and Adrienne, Michaela and Cedric, like, they're in really good positioning. I believe that they're in third place. They're coming up on Theo and Adrienne. They passed them, which is just such an unreal flop from Theo and Adrienne. Like, they were in second. They were an excellent spot too, but Cedric at one point, who again knows that Michaela has this injured ankle, he knows that she has a busted wheel, he suggests that they go off the fucking path. I don't know if you remember this quick scene and exchange between them, but she was like, shouldn't we go on the dirt road? And he's like, it's fine, you just fucking push forward. Like, bro, what are you doing? That's just, again, it's unnecessary risk. Like, imagine they step off the path for 1 second, she blows her ankle out, and then they're done.
Which she will of course do. I mean, she's like all of us in a dream, dude. She's just like, I'm gonna roll my ankle as many times as possible.
My foot's gone. But I will say, so let's focus on Theo and Adrienne and their collapse, because they're in second place, they're pushing, and then they just fall farther and farther and farther. Michaela and Cedric get past them, Jeremy and Olivia get past them, and then you see Adrienne just quit. That's the only way that you can phrase it. And I get that it's accumulative damage, and she's just put so much in. And like we talked about earlier, maybe she doesn't have that experience like in the Marines, or having this ability to know I can push deep through every single layer. Like, I think it's so respectable what Adrienne did this season, what she did in this final, but she just has nothing. Like, she got spent, and it's a shame that Theo was as bad of a partner as he was, because I feel bad for her, man. Like,
that's my thing, Ben, is when I watched Adrienne, I thought that she quit because Theo gave her permission to.
Yeah.
And I thought that Theo watching her quit was a way out for him. And I thought that he took it.
Yeah.
The second she was like, I think I might be done, he was like, we're done. So when I watched that, and again, I go back to just having done teamwork elements where it's really difficult, the people around you are just critically impactful. Like, it is so important, right? So I imagine there's a world where Theo is Jeremy and Adrienne makes it to the top of that mountain. I don't know if she wins, but I bet she makes it to the top of that mountain. I thought it was, I thought it was Theo was quitting. Again, maybe they didn't show us where he's whispering in her ear as they're going up this, I don't know if we can make this. We're in the back. We're going to lose. You know, whatever it was, it just feels to me like Adrienne is the type to respond positively to positive feedback, and Theo never gave that to her. So I think that the edit made it seem like it was Adrienne who quit. I really think it was both of them. Very much so.
And I think I can infer, because of how much we were shown of Theo's performance in the first half, right? Like, this is a guy who was on the ground refusing to help out at checkpoints and telling Adrienne to basically put the team on her shoulders.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to imagine that 24 hours removed from that he would be much different, you know? So I don't know. I feel bad, but again, this is why that staking was so important, and that was such a Hail Mary that everyone could have taken. For Adrienne, I think she absolutely the onus was on her to go, Theo's a bad partner, and hey, we got through all season together, but in this setting, I need a Jeremy. I need a Sydney, you know? So for Adrienne, it's like, look, I don't, you know, I acknowledge and frame her quitting as I think it is, but there were also avenues for her to avoid that and to increase her probability, and she didn't take it, much like several other competitors. So I don't know. I will say, like, she says, no chance on earth I'm finishing this, and she says this isn't worth it, and I can't imagine, right, didn't even fucking make it close to getting to run that final. I can't imagine how challenging it is, but to say this isn't worth it after investing 2 months of your life, 2.5 months of your life, putting yourself through grueling challenges, going into the sand 4 times to even make it to this point, to verbalize this isn't worth it. I don't know, man. I mean, it's just like, don't say that, bro. Yeah. Like, I get you're in the throes of this frustration and defeats like completely crept in, but you championed how it was worth it all season, and it was almost your flag that you continued to carry. Is like, I'm here for representing the people that I represent, and to then kind of have, oh, this isn't worth it. It casts a little bit of, oh, so nothing was worth it. Everything you said wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth enough. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm hyper fixating on something that's supremely minor and in a state of exhaustion that she doesn't mean for sure, but didn't love it. Either way,
let's
just
take it to
another
Ben.
team.
I mean, that's just someone that,
sure.
Yeah, she's mentally defeated and she wants to justify it, right?
Yeah,
which sucks. I mean, it was a tough watch. That was kind of tough for me because it was, you know, they could see that they weren't passing any of these other teams, and I think
even the producers were like, you guys. The producers are like, you're so far from the third place team that your odds are just infinitely small. But I will say, let's talk about the reverse. You know, here's another team that collapsed but didn't refuse to stop Cedric and Michaela. Michaela falls down like a grandmother falling down the stairs. It was, you know, those Life Alert commercials where you're laying on the ground. That looked like Michaela. But she did, like, there was no quit. Production surrounded her, and the first thing she's saying is, I can get up one step at a time. Let me go. I'm good to continue. I think it's so respectable how in that atmosphere, in that context where you do have easy ways out, for Michaela to choose the harder path. And I think that shows a lot about her character. And like, it makes me think of something we talked about in the first half, which is if she didn't have that shitty fucking ankle, right? And who knows the severity, right? But if she's healthy, comparable to everybody else, bro, like, second place, I think, for Cedric and Michaela. I don't think Jeremy and Olivia could have caught him.
Yeah.
Maybe even first. Even first, honestly.
Yeah, it's totally plausible. Yeah, she showed a lot of grit, dug deep, made it happen. I don't question that her ankle was compromised at all, too, right? Like, she definitely had an injury. You can't fall over that many times and not hurt yourself. I think slow and steady wins the race on that one. Like, stop falling over, please, for the love of God. But, it was, at the end of the day, yeah, she showed so much grit and so much determination, and Cedric did too, right? He kind of even said it in day one, like, I can't keep carrying you. Like, he obviously was digging incredibly deep, which is why we mentioned at the start of this that he obviously should have done something about it, and he didn't because his teammate was so compromised. But I really commend them. They made it to the top, correct?
Yep, they finished. Yeah. They got third.
For really no reason. I mean, they knew that Theo was out. They knew they weren't getting it to the top. That was just pure grit and determination to get to the top and to see this thing through. I think that's really commendable. I think that's really awesome. But
I would love to see the breakdown.
You know what we didn't touch on? We didn't actually touch on Olivia winning.
But let's get back to that.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about the two teams collapsing and losing, and then focus on the two teams that were right there. So we cut to a shot, and it says 450 feet away from the peak, and you see Sydney and Turbo trying to round this big rock, and Olivia and Jeremy just nipping at their heels. Turbo begins to hallucinate. He talks about how his vision's going. The altitude is really getting to him, and Jeremy and Olivia just fucking cruise right by him. And I gotta commend Sydney, because it cuts to a confessional of her, and she says, and I quote, they have to have lungs I don't have. Unbelievable. So it's like awesome that she, because again, they filmed those confessionals probably a day or two right after that final, that she chose that avenue of like respect. Game respects game. They are on a different level in that moment. And I thought, like, the instances that we did get of humility from Sydney, I always really enjoyed. And, I think she puts it perfectly correct. They just were on a different level when they got by him.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking up some people here talking about what altitude it was at. Do you remember specifically?
13, I want to say it was like 12,000 to 13,000 feet.
13,000 feet?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Turbo's vision went around 12,000.
Well, so there's
I don't know how much more.
There's the important note that the more muscle mass you have, the bigger you are. The more you weigh, the more impact that's going to have on altitude. And anything past, so 1,000 meters of altitude is roughly a 15% decrease in your physical ability, so around 3,000 feet. But it absolutely just multiplies, right? It's not linear. And by the time you're at that peak, you are seriously depleted. And it is totally reasonable to assume that Turbo, again, and this is what drives me so nuts about how they formulated this, is this guy did give a lot to win day one. He gave a lot to get near this top here, to try to get up to the heights he got up to. And he didn't sleep nearly as much as his teammate and as much as he should have slept. Didn't fuel his body properly. He's broken down. So I think that, honestly, again, I think a lot of this was, if there was so many moments where Turbo had just gone, no, I need to chill out. I need to slow this down. I need to look after myself a little bit here. Instead of his perception of, I will just throw myself onto this sword and that will somehow help my team, and I'll throw myself onto the sword over and over and over again. The reality is it's incredibly difficult to sit back and be like, yo, I need to rely on my teammate, who has shown time and time again she's an absolute powerhouse. So stop thinking that you can just do this all on your own, bro. Because to me, that finish was, he drove himself so hard that the gas tank was at 0%, and he clearly had nothing left.
He put himself in quicksand.
Yeah.
He put himself in a box of quicksand where the harder you try, the worse it's going to be. And I completely agree with you. Like, show a little bit of, I'm going to take the pedal off the metal, which is it's a little odd because throughout this season he did display, whether this was for a gameplay purpose, a political social move, or otherwise, but he displayed, right, I'm going to let my partner take the lead. So many times I remember him saying, I'm going to let my partner decide this one. I'm going to let my partner do this. But then when it really matters, I guess the mask comes off and he goes, nope, I need my hand on the wheel at all times. And it fucking cost him in the craziest manner because, you know, we've talked about it, and for those that have seen, like, the amount of wide shots that they cut to that showed just how far Cine and Turbo were in front. Like, bro, I'm sorry, but you fumbled. Turbo fumbled this final. He had it. There were, in terms of like people who had the highest probability and the best chances, Cine and Turbo 100%, I would say, right? 100%. And he just continued to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. And, you know, they finished. They were able to get to the top. They summited. They did an OTF. And then he decided, hey, you know, I got to get the fuck out of here. And then gets kayaked out to a helicopter.
First things first, man. You wrote that on our notes. That's some of the funniest shit I've ever read in my entire life. They put him in a kayak. They put him on a stretcher, bro. It's a stretcher, and they're stretchering.
They put him in a kayak. They said, "Hey, you're going back to the river. You're doing this whole final again."
No. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure it's a helicopter mount search and rescue.
A kayak for sure.
Yeah, no. Now I'm forgetting the word. I just said it.
Stretcher. I'm sure it's a modified stretcher.
So it's a modified stretcher. I believe they just mount that up into a helicopter and then fly you out. They definitely didn't just launch him down the mountain. Yeah. Okay, we got him in the kayak. Off you go. But, yeah.
And I will say this, like,
he clearly had gave his all.
Yeah, I don't think that you can dispute that, and kind of like what we discussed with Theo in a sense, where you're using excuses. I don't know if I can apply that same thought to Turbo, because I've seen Johnny Bananas laughing at Turbo getting kayaked out of there, CT posting him in the kayak, you know, and they're all kind of mocking and making fun, and I think that's kind of a product of a couple things. Turbo made it a mission almost this season to antagonize and unfairly target people, inventing narratives against Derek Chavez, inventing narratives against CT, like up until the first half of the final, even still demeaning other people's abilities, right? Talking shit about Jeremy, saying, oh, he has no cardio, he's gonna gas really quickly. So I do think that there's something poetic about the guy that has been so fucking critical about everyone else's ability, and he's the only person that gets kayaked out of the fucking final. I think there's something poetic about that. And
incredibly poetic.
Turbo, like, this guy, it's funny that Sydney and Turbo are partners because they've got the two biggest fucking egos on this show. And I think even Sydney was grappling with that earlier in this episode, where she kind of realizes this guy's as fucking arrogant as I am. Oh my God, it's such a pain in the ass to deal with. Maybe I should reflect more. But like, it just, for Turbo, man, I get you've got maybe this persona and this facade you want to keep up, but it was a little satisfying to see a guy like that get his karma and wind up in a kayak. Can't lie.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's so funny because if they had been even slightly more likable this season, and we looked at how this finale played out, which frankly,
heartbreaking.
To be clear, it bladed them every step of the way. I mean, they got fucked over every single step of the way by winning every single iteration, none of it mattering, and then dying in the last. All that mattered in this finale was a big hike and connect forward. That's all that mattered, you know? And so the fact that, I think that if they were even a little bit more likable, that would have been the narrative. The narrative would have been a lot of people being like, this was kind of bullshit. This finale was kind of ass. Instead, because Jeremy and Olivia have been very likable, specifically Jeremy, and Olivia being pregnant and digging so deep and just
7 weeks
getting
pregnant,
it done,
bro.
You know, the story is instead everyone's so pumped about what was frankly an incredible comeback of sheer grit and determination. Yeah,
And
so I just think that
feet,
I do think it is, like you said, it's it's totally poetic. It's like a storybook ending for this season, which was incredible. I loved watching it.
And you saw Sydney, I think, coming to face the music a bit of, man, I put so many chips in the table of me dominating, washing away the competition, only to fucking lose. There was a couple shots of her, man, where I just saw her and I was like, I think I know what you're mulling over, and it's the fact that you're a fucking loser, just like everyone else that you wanted to talk shit about the entire season. Now I get, hey, congrats on the 25, less taxes, but it's like, it's just one of those things where it would make me so interested to see her back with that humility and that slice of humble pie. But, she's clarified online that she's done and she doesn't want to do this again, and this was miserable. And this is what I want to talk about a little bit. Now I don't want to dive supremely deep into this, but she says something in a confessional as it pertains to Turbo where is it? It's in my notes. Where is it? So this is at the beginning where they're talking about staking a claim, and Sydney says, as much as we've had an up and down relationship, I love Turbo and is clearly has this close connection. Then she kind of has a pretty public stance contradicting that in an extreme manner, and now you're hearing, oh, she hated the experience and now she's done, and I'm just like, there's so many conflicting things behind the scenes that I'm just like, I don't know. I would prefer if you came back. I think this was an excellent rookie season, one of the best, I'd say, from a female, and it'd be a shame for some weird, ambiguous, who knows what, to not come back and do it again, right? That's at least my standpoint.
She's a lawyer, though, is she not?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just think economically it probably isn't, like, literally not worth it for her to do it.
That's fair,
because it's like, unless she wins, it's like, she's not making a huge difference, I guess, financially. So I think that's part of it.
2.5 months, to make.
And also, I think that, and sorry to cut you off, I just think that if I'm her, bro, I'm so frustrated with the way that went out. Because this is her first season. Olivia, I was just reading on the Reddit there. Apparently, this is how a lot of these 2-day finales have gone. So clearly, Olivia was in on that. Olivia being a vet, having been around for a long time, she's in on the game. She knows, hey, this is all going to be totally irrelevant. Sydney doesn't. Sydney's winning every single iteration. She's winning every single piece. She loses because in the last 200 feet, her partner falls apart. I mean, dude, that would be so infuriating to me, especially if I'm, like, again, Sydney, she's clearly just successful in everything she does, because everything she does has, like, a clearly laid out plan, right? It has a clear, you do this, this, and this, you do them properly, you'll win. This was very much so, you do this, this, and this, psych, a psych, no, it doesn't matter, and then she gets
Turbo's
screwed.
dead!
Yeah, or also, psych, stand here for 20 minutes and wait, all your hard work is for nothing.
Yeah.
And that, to me, if I was her, dude, I would be furious.
But there is obviously, and who knows, she couldn't have predicted that Turbo would collapse 200 feet away from the finish line, sure. But again, she could have staked the claim on Yermy.
Valid.
City could have done that. I mean, your number one whole season.
I think
that
guy's
got a fucking gas tank. Like,
yeah, but to be fair, I think that she knew that she had quite a good chance with Turbo. I mean, again, if they hadn't had to wait, maybe it would have gone differently. Again, if they, if he'd been able to hang on for just a couple 100 feet more, she would have won. So I thought that was actually like a calculated guess, not like a calculated gamble, not a bad decision. Everyone else, I thought it was a bad decision, but for her, I was like, okay, this might actually make sense. But
all right, well, let's talk a little bit on Yermy and Olivia. We mentioned it. We can expand upon it briefly. She's fucking 7 weeks pregnant doing this, pushing through a final, like lapping people, which is just remarkable. Like, I think the stat was the first day it was 22 miles, and that loop that they were running around was a 5K, so it was like a little over 3 miles that they kept running around. I have to imagine that this was also like a 22-mile thing. So you're talking about marathon plus a half marathon plus you're 7 weeks pregnant plus you're going up against Sydney and Turbo plus, you know what I mean? Like, it's so crazy to me that she locked the fuck in and got it done, right? Like, this season that she's had, going from having a lot of the numbers in the beginning, controlling the social political game, to being up against the wall for like a massive chunk of this. And huge credit to Theo for, going into 4 eliminations and winning them all, because if he didn't, then we know for sure that Olivia would have been under way more fire. So like the resiliency that her group showed, and she specifically, like, I don't know. I know that it's been a feel-good story for a lot of fans who've really enjoyed her over the last couple seasons, and seeing her get this win with all these factors is, it doesn't get better. Now she's fucking, now the baby's here, so it's just crazy.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, right? It's really hard not to root for her. Yeah, really, really incredible grit. I mean, it is hard to translate on TV how much this finale put these people through, and it was a lot. It was a lot. So I was very happy with the way it ended. I thought it was incredible. Just watching Jeremy and Olivia just magically just passing Sydney and Turbo. It was like, how is this? It was such a hard cut. They were like, oh, and by the way, these guys are right there. And I was like, whoa. So yeah, super cool. Just awesome. I don't know. Sick. It was a cool episode.
Olivia said something where she said, let me get to the exact quote. She said, "I'm so glad you chose me as a partner, even though that's not my choice," which made me think Will would have been, like we talked about it, but he would have been so fucked in this final, bro. I cannot imagine him keeping it together for 2 days with that overnight segment, with all the frustration of those checkpoints. Like, I think, I wish Will was in this final, because he would have actually killed somebody.
Yeah.
And that would have created some, some must-see TV. But yeah, I think, in terms of the season as a whole, I don't think you've seen any other seasons or have watched any while we've been doing this, but the limited seasons I've seen, like, I've been not trying to be biased, because I was in a very small blip on this season, but one of the better ones, like certainly one of the best of the last 5-6 years, and especially this final. It didn't have as much dynamic qualities as I maybe personally would have wanted, and wasn't my favorite final I think that I've seen. The fact that we had no eating challenges sucked. I love them. I think that's a fun, huge equalizer that really gets to people. But yeah, overall, great season. I don't think it could be
great season.
Outside of me, staying in and making it to that final.
Great finale. Just dope all around. Honestly, yeah. Is there anything else you want to touch on? I mean, we will have, just so everyone knows, we will be doing like a further recap of the whole season and stuff we'd like to see and stuff like that. So this isn't it, but
and we've got the reunion. Obviously, the reunion looks like it was spicy. Jeremy and Ashley are going back and forth, and I will say this, like, Jeremy, who's been such an objectively great partner throughout the entire season, I remember him saying that he fucking hated partnering with Ashley. They had one daily challenge together, and he hated it. I remember he got back to the house, and he was like, dude, do not pick her. Like, whatever you do, just avoid having Ashley as a partner. And from everything we saw from Ashley, perfectly valid, right? She sucked as a partner to everyone she was attached to.
If someone is amazing with everybody and bad with you, it's you.
Yeah.
Like, you're the problem.
But yeah, in terms of other content, I think the few things that I'd love to film to bring to you guys is sort of a recap and review of decisions I wish I would have made, because there were a couple things that I'd love to expand upon with my experience where I think I could have not only skirted by the Hall Brawl elimination, but also stayed into probably the lock-in. I think that I would have gotten cooked and torched maybe at some point, right? But I definitely think there's some things that I could have done that I'd love to chat about. Well, obviously, we'll cover the reunion. We've got reunion recaps that we'll do. They'll probably be much shorter. I don't think there's going to be a lot to necessarily like dive into and break down, but we'll be covering that. And then I think we do like a little fun MVPs of the season, some superlatives that we could give out, and then that'll do it, I think, for our season 41 coverage.
Yeah, everybody, make sure to subscribe, like the video.
Yeah, make sure you like and subscribe,
and also comment like what you thought. I really want to hear your opinions, because I don't know if this is just me looking at it outside in, and that's where my frustration with some of these challenges come from, or what it is. But I thought it was it all worked out. But it felt, watching it, that it really very easily could have not worked out. And that would have been really frustrating. But it did, so it was fine. But fundamentally, it was there was moments that was touch and go for me when I was watching it. Still a great season all around. I loved it. It was cool. It was dynamic. My boy Ben was on it, which made it more fun for me. But yeah.
Hey guys, make sure you also watch our Dispatch series.
No, do not watch the Dispatch series. Go.
Can anyone come watch that?
Smash the dislike button on those videos because apparently you guys absolutely hate it. No, I'm just kidding. It is really good, and it only gets better as it goes. So hopefully, episode 3 gets better.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with the Dispatch series. The episodes are really long. We got to find a way to edit them tighter.
No.
I don't know.
Run the clock.
I don't know. I think.
Okay.
No.
Enough.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. That has been the season finale, but we still have more to come. So make sure to subscribe. Tune in. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace.